my third finger behind. My third and little finger can grip the cards quite tightly between them. My thumb and first finger can grip the cards quite tightly between them. Relax a bit and let the card begin to rise. That was too quick. That shows what happens if you're being careless. But as it rises, now by controlling the pressure between either your third and little fingers on the left-hand side to make it tilt to the left, or your thumb and first fingers on the right to make it tilt on the right, you can make it rise evenly. If it gets violently out of control, you can always put a finger on the top. It doesn't look as though you're helping it to rise, but it allows you to keep it steady. And it's quite an eerie effect if you turn the fan packet sideways as it's rising, and they can see the very edge going up as it rises. That basically is it. To finish off, what I like to do, I notice where the fake is. I take the card out, I tilt it, to me, left-hand side, right-hand down, right-hand side up. That way it's less likely to drag the rubber band out with it. And I turn it over and I put it back in the fan, in fact one card up, so that it's now hiding the fake and I can separate and everything looks very clean. If I want to be extra cunning, I take this off, place my thumb firmly over the fake, show the card there. The fake is here, but at that angle it's hidden. You can put it back, and if you really want to be shot from it, you can riffle 3 cards, palm card and fake off, and just as a sort of extra flourish, go to your pocket, produce the chosen card from your pocket, leaving the gimmicks behind, and throw it on the table, and that's it. The Faro Shuffle, I got interested in. It was one of the things that I started working on. Again, when I was doing my military service and I was posted to Austria, and I took with me one card book, which was Expert Card Technique, and there was the chapter on the Faro in Expert Card Technique. And I started trying to do it, and eventually I started getting a certain distance. My first efforts at doing the faro were really based on instructions for doing a giant fan. So in my early days of doing the faro, I would solemnly split the pack, hold it up in front of the audience, tap, tap, and do it right up in the air like that. But as a result of that, and as I think from most illustrations in books on how to do it that way, I'd always weaved the cards from the face up to the back. Now, a different habit has developed in the States, and I think one of the reasons is that most American cards, when they first come out of the packet, have a curve like that. And it's always easier to do the faro away from that curve. If I've got American cards, even if they start with that curve, I find that very shortly they develop the curve in the opposite direction, because that's the direction that you automatically put a curve in every time you're doing a riffle shuffle. So I started doing the faro in the hands like that, using my little finger as a table in order to get the correct registration between the two separate packets. And whatever method you use, it's just a matter of how much you practice that particular method. I don't think one method is easier or harder or better or worse than the other. It's what you're used to. But that's how I've always done it, and it works for me, so I have no reason for changing my method. Other advantages is that I think normally you're more often holding the pack in this sort of a position when you're idly holding cards. It's the position that you find your hands in when you finish doing an overhand shuffle. And an overhand shuffle can be combined with the faro very naturally to emphasize that you're not doing something that is terribly pre-planned and accurate. You can do the overhand shuffle and then go straight into the faro. Over the years, I tried various ways of making it appear more casual, one being a conscious effort to learn to do it without having to tap the packets together before I wove them. Having been away from magic for a long time, I find that I'm not so good at that as I used to be, but it's beginning to come back. Right, I'm going to try a mind-reading experiment. You know what an experiment implies. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but will you start by making sure that the cards are well shuffled together? It doesn't matter what sort of state they're in. Shuffle them yourself, any way you like. And then I'm going to have a card thought of and try to find it. That's the exciting plot of this trick. But you're satisfied that the cards are okay. Right, and perhaps he had the privilege of shuffling the cards. Perhaps you'd like to do the labour of... No, don't take anything out. I want to be this just in the mind. Okay. So will you think of any one of those cards? You can change your mind if you like, but when you've finally fixed on one, remember what it is. Okay. And you've got it? Right. Now, will you think of that, please? Now, there'll be a pause for mental effort. I'm thinking, and I hope you're thinking too. I'm getting a sort of impression. I think the funny thing is, I've got no idea what your card is, but I've got a sort of feeling in my fingertips as though my fingers knew what your card was, even though I don't know. I think, in fact, it might be a good idea, and in order to stop my conscious mind interfering with what my fingers know, I'll put the cards behind my back and see if I can find it with my fingertips. I'll turn one card over in the pack, because I don't know what card it is that I've turned over. I'll take a chance. What was the card you thought of?
The King of Clubs.
The King of Clubs. And well, I get lucky now and then. One card turned over, and it's the King of Clubs. Right. Now, this needs no setup. you ask the cards to be shuffled, and the purpose here, you do want to get across to the spectators that this is, in fact, an ordinary pack of cards. So they shuffle, and they hand them back to you, and during the conversation, when they've handed them back and you're asking, are they quite sure that they're shuffled, you want to get the pack face down with the card reversed on the bottom. So what I do is simply this move, exposing it, passing the cards from right hand to left and turning them over on top. So now, this is the state of affairs. Now, I want a card to be thought of. I don't make any particular excuse about not showing them the whole pack. I just fan out some cards into a reasonably good fan and ask for somebody to think of one of those cards